ESG and AI over the last few years, mostly from the UK. Currently in Gurgaon, I'm part of the American India Foundation, working on digital transformation in e-waste management across the country. I would say that probably the biggest advancement that we are seeing when it comes to ESG and climate is the ability to better, I would say, measure it. So we're, as you were mentioning, sir, about qualitative outputs. From our side, I would say that everything connected to AI-driven measurement of ESG goals, understanding a bit more in real time what can be tracked, what are the goals that we're trying to envision, especially in the climate ecosystem. This is something that we are seeing due to the ability to, first of all, be slightly more accountable, transparent about what ESG is, how it can be achieved in different climate ventures, initiatives, broadly about the ecosystem. So we're definitely seeing much more solutions using data combined with AI methods and other technologies to try and see how ESG can be better fulfilled. What are the goals that we're supposed to achieve based on previous data sets and different goals that have been attained by other organizations. There are some interesting, I would say, cultural obstacles that we're still trying to navigate since we're using AI, and AI is known for its, I would say, cultural deficits and perhaps too big of reliance on human biases and other historical loopholes that we're encountering. But especially for this field, I would say that there is a quite big promise when it comes to actually seeing the more, I would say, the qualitative side of ESG, trying to see how we can better measure it and set the right targets and KPIs from a more data-driven approach. Of course, this is a test and go, and there are different, I would say, achievement. There are also some affairs that clearly show that we still have a long way to go when it comes to how we are properly measuring ESG across, I would say, agile contexts. But yeah, looking forward to hearing additional insights and then hearing from the other panelists on their views on the topic.
Right. Thank you so much, Maya. And so well said. And I think totally there are two streams that are going to redefine the way we are today and tomorrow. That is AI and climate change, climate technology. And when I say that, I've been seeing it in a lot of large brands and a lot of large manufacturing units globally. The focus is shifting, from heavy metal-based developments into a smaller, which is reusable, which material is circular. So I think the focus is changing, and everywhere there is for a better technology to leverage and get more out of people in terms of AI and in terms of more innovative technology. So with that in mind, I want to go to Nishant, who has been a consultant with UN, and he has been actively involved in creating some very exciting global conservative architecture and communities, which are very sustainable in the way they approach. And he's done some work in Romania and some other places. So over to you, Nishant, as to how do you see this whole thing? Should we slow down in terms of the growth and the way the world is going, or we recalibrate and we kind of reshift our focus into a newer relance? So over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Abhijit ji, and thank you, Jananiti, for having me over as well. And it's fantastic to be a part of this platform and the discussion as well. So, as far as just to give a brief background of myself, I'm an architect which specializes in conservation of cultural heritage and monuments and sites, primarily being engaged with UNESCO in their programs as well. And other than that, we also do a sustainable design practice by the name of Dharatal. And we start using local materials and local nuances. And sometimes, if not even local materials, we often always incorporate local culture into our design. Simply because, as Maya rightly said, that there is a certain biased in the tech about culture, and there are loopholes as well. And that often happens that when we have a very heavily technological driven design or algorithm based design, we are not able to address what local people or how people or the community is going to respond to it. So much of our sustainability aspect depends on the criteria that we basically provide the local community such good atmosphere to practice their own traditional knowledge management systems, which are primarily sustainable in kind of nature more than often. If we provide them this incubation or this kind of atmosphere for it, I think it can drive through in a much better way. That said, another big aspect which we always keep telling in our practice, which I think we should stop because we'll run out of business, is that we should stop building. I mean, we are architects, but we are beyond our building limits. We are also beyond our resources limits. So I think it's time that we have to stop building, and I think it's time that we start reusing whatever we have, and that pretty much is the essence of conservation of cultural heritage. So the idea is not to use or to freeze certain towns that they become museums and people go and visit them and go in a buggy or a horse chariot. The idea is to actually make those historical towns revitalized in such a way that the quality of the life and the well-being there of the people is much higher in terms of social connectivity, in terms of cultural connectivity, and thereby increasing very dramatically the resilience of the people against climate change impact and variations. Thank you.
Thank you, Nishant. I think very well, good insight. And I like the point, where you say that, the total volume of concrete that we are building, speed at which we are building, I had a very interesting conversation. They want to increase the percentage of green element in the smart city, and they want to reduce. And suddenly when this idea came about reusability, just having an information as to how many places where you can, rent out, or where you don't have to buy a new house or build a new house, and you can renovate or use it. I think that kind of a mindset and that kind of circularity is another big thing that should come in the way, and that should help people. So thank you for that. And now I would like to ask Adesh. Yeah, I was coming to you on this, sir. So I would like to ask Adesh sir to share his view as to how does he see the climate technology and innovation in the space making a big change in the ESG and the sustainability space.
Okay, thank you, Janniti, for having me over here. And in most of the groups that I speak, I am the proverbial owl, Ullu, because he can see in the dark. Now, the owl has many, in the West, it's called the wise owl. In India, the Ullu is an Ullu, everybody knows that, is stupid chap. But the funny part is, despite that Indian connotation, the vehicle of Lord Lakshmi is the owl. Just to make things clear for everybody.
Right.
Now, the owl can see in the dark.
Right.
And if you use that facility of mine, which I say you can see in the dark, you will take advantage of it. And the West have been using this facility forever over all their owls they've had. And they've ruled the world.
So
okay.
Just if you can introduce yourself in a line so everybody understands
fine.
where
Okay,
you come
my name
from.
is Adesh Singh. Me and my co-inventor, we work together and make things. And by chance, two of the projects we're working on, one of them is deeply connected with particulate matter from engine exhaust, and also with heating, and also with carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. So I'm in the midst of everything there, right? Okay. And how I got involved and all is different. But since I'm just telling you the basic things. For example, there is heating of the planet. And the heating, to take care of the heat of the planet, since carbon dioxide is a absorbing gas, we say reduce carbon dioxide, reduce methane, reduce this, reduce that. Okay. Now, I'll just give you a two-liner on this topic and then go on to what other stuff is. See, the total surface area of Delhi and NCR, okay, I wrote a one-pager on it, is 1480 square kilometers. Okay? The total roof area of Delhi and NCR is 700 square kilometers. Okay, and if this 700, because most of the 700 square kilometers are unfit for any fittings of solar panels and so on and so forth. Just this 700 square kilometer area, rooftop area, is whitewashed with that calcium carbonate. Must be a carbonate-based, calcium carbonate-based wash. The reflectivity will be so high because each 1 meter square gets about 1,000 watts of solar energy. We keep building roofs, we keep putting black coal tar on them to stop the water from seeping in. We get into a mess. Simply paint the place white. I'll send you the calculations later, but it makes a huge amount of difference and a surprising amount. Leaving that aside, the other thing is about the health and so on. So there are like these very small particles, like 2.5 micron size, okay? And just to explain, a human hair width is 50 microns. From there, you can make out what is a 2.5 micron size particle. This particle is so terrible, it never settles down and has been found medically in the umbilical cord of the newborn babies. So even the safest place in the world, this penetrates in. Okay, now, the industry was told, you've got vehicles which are sending out too much of particulate, isko theek karo, fix it. So they put a filter, which is called a diesel particle filter or a gasoline particle filter. That only chokes the engine. The engine burns more fuel, creates more particles. You burn the particles in the DPF, throwing out even smaller nano-sized particles. Where we came in, we gave a non-filter solution to all the automobile exhaust. How does it help us? We not only reduce the particulates to very low levels, we also give a substantial amount of fuel saving. Simply because we do not use the resistive way. You know, one filter for the particles, one semi-filter for the carbon monoxide, one filter for the NOx. Now run your engine. I ask you to wear 2 masks and go for a jog. You will fail in the first 100 meters. We have simply taken the masks off. Okay, that's about innovation. Leave that aside. You fly over Delhi or at a substantive height, you see that Delhi, Bangalore, such like cities are covered in a dome of about 50 meters height. 50 to 150 meters height, it is covered in a dome of smog. Okay? And we blame the farmers, we blame the engines, we say, okay, odd and even, odd, so on and so forth. Those who can afford have 2 cars with odds and even numbers, so on. It just keeps going on and on. The fact is that such a situation requires cloud seeding. Even a small country, maybe a little richer than us, you land in that country and you're told that 11:30 we are going to have rain. It's out in the desert. 11:30 there is rain. And if you do that in India, there are many advantages. You will clear that smog first and clear it without politics. And you have enough aircrafts and you have enough gasoline to run those aircrafts, plus the salt that is required to spray it at a height. Not only the smog, which every child, every tree, every animal breathes. You can use cloud seeding for that drought and flood situation. You simply redirect the water from on top. You have the cloud cell pictures from the national, meteorological sites. You have to learn how to do the cloud seeding. And I'm sure if some committed chap sits on the YouTube only, he will be told how cloud seeding can be done and what are the advantages. We don't have to send our ace pilots all over the world trying to learn how cloud seeding is to be done. You need to do something in order to learn what it gave you. कुछ करोगे नहीं तो कुछ होगा भी नहीं. आज ऑडिबल
Right. No,
कर
sir,
लो.
some experiments have happened. Right. Sir, some experiments have happened in Marathwada region where they have tried cloud seeding, and there have been some progress in that. I think things are changing. So
That is where we must concentrate, not
Right.
in, you see, the number of machines, it was in the papers today, the number of this parali handling machines that came to Punjab are all disappeared. Neither are they with the farmers, neither is they with the government, neither are they with anybody else. 900 people have been given show cause notice. Because
Right.
the thing is just, it's out there in the papers. अरे उतने पैसों में तो हम क्लाउड सीडिंग करके सारा कुछ. हिमाचल, it rained so heavily, all the hills almost flattened out. Had you used the cloud seedings properly, you could have directed that the water to go to another place. You have to learn the nuances of cloud seeding to get past this problem. My innovation, I'll not put it aside. It will take its own time and it will take its own economical
Very
progress.
valuable, sir. Very valuable point that you've raised,
Right. And about heating, okay, about warming of the planet, okay, get a little away from carbon dioxide. And methane. Methane is much worse than carbon dioxide. Your power plants, you're not your power plants. The hydroelectric plants have got huge water bodies, which are big emitters of methane. Then they'll say, okay, now the cows are big emitters of methane, so close the farms. There is a downside to all this, which has to be very analytically and very critically seen. You see,
Right.
there is science. There is science. Let me tell you this, and I'll end my talk here. There is science, okay? There is fashion. There are three things. And there is one fashionable science. Once fashionable science grips you, there is no way of getting out of it.
Right.
Neither is it science, nor is it fashion. It is a mix of two. And you will have very powerful people, good-looking people promoting it. You can't escape it. Everybody will believe, yes, carbon dioxide has to be stopped. Yes, methane has to be stopped. You know, the science
Right.
behind this is very intricate. It's very detailed. I'm
Right,
not
sir.
going to go into that today. But if in this meeting, the most common sense thing about cloud seeding, I can get to you people. I have done my job today. I will
No,
sleep
sir, I
easy.
think it's a very, very valid point. And with the kind of AI models, predictability models being created, this is pretty much something that, and weather technology, the way IBM is working on the weather technology, it's pretty much something that should be on the cards and
That's
very
right.
well stated, well timed.
Yes.
I would like Braj to kind of add his point as to how do you feel political will or, will change this landscape, and what do you see is really that can trigger the meaning making ESG really relevant at a village level. There are 6 lakh villages, very poor people. You are creating small waste management systems. You are creating various things. Are we looking at the ESG side of it? Are we looking at the social side of it? Are we looking at the environmental side of it? Right? Or we are only looking at just making it more comfortable or making it just workable for that particular problem? Is it a knee-jerk reaction, or what is your thought on that, Bridge?
So there are three parts to it, and the third part stems from these things talk. The first thing which I strongly believe, and I've always believed in this, is the three elements which governs anything, be it politics, business, social, or name it, and uh, people who are working on it, processes they follow, and technology backs it. So people, process, technology is the three mantras of success. Here again, if you see ESG, I would say environment, all the things which we need to do, technology is working on it, be it AI or whatever you name the technology you want to talk about, they are working on it so that they can resolve it. People around it, be it the end user, government, the organization which works around it, uh, how they are seeing it and from which point of reference they're seeing it is another critical thing which we need to think, evaluate, and that's what you asked me. And the third thing is governance. So which all processes are involved to see to it that whatever we are thinking of, the steps we are taking, will it see the light at the end of the tunnel or not? Now, these three things, you call it people, process, technology, here ESG. I mean, when I'm saying ESG, I probably somewhere, I'm not saying in a very right manner, but in a very loosely terms, connected people, process, technology with ESG. Now, you see here, the challenge starts here. And Adi Singh ji said that fashionable invention or fashionable science or fashionable ideas, and that's where we are stuck. I'm not saying that's the only thing which is happening, but that's where we are stuck. What's happening is nothing moves globally unless you see business and economy getting impacted. Unless we see that stock market is impacted or not, or positively impacted or not, customers are happy or not. So if these three things again are not well taken care of, no business would focus on it, or no government will focus on it. If voters are not happy, government or political parties would not care about it. If they're not getting their commission or cut on every activity which they're doing, and I'll be very honest upfront here, they would not work on it. And this is not just India; it's global phenomena. And why they're looking for cut? Because that's the money which runs their political party and stuff. Generally, in India and globally, there is a very vague political funding ecosystem, and that's why they look for commission and other stuff. Unless we resolve this thing, unless we resolve the thought process, it will be very difficult to do whatever we are talking. Adi Singh ji, whatever he said, there are other scientists I know of, and they are also working on similar stuff. I also proposed one small thing, not to do with primary. Yeah, it is to do with ESG again, but I proposed to 3 different governments about clinic in the box, something which Arvind Kejriwal is doing in Delhi or not doing in Delhi. But I proposed this thing to 3 different governments, all northeast and eastern side of India, including Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh. And they said that what is our benefit? How are we going to get voters coming and voting for us? So unless you resolve this thing, things would not get resolved for the political parties. So whenever we are going and whenever we are thinking of ESG models, we have to look for these 2 larger elements, which is government and business, and how we can resolve their inner requirement, which is stock market and voters. Unless we resolve these 2 things, no solution will help us. We will only discuss this thing in similar such forums. They will set up a small team which will work on it, which will be absolutely superficial work. Things will happen because they have to also show to the various boards globally that we are committed to climate 2040, climate 2050 and stuff. But we know how things are moving. Unless your board is committed to it and seeing it a positive return, nothing will move. Unless the head of a government or head of political party is committed to it and see that this person can turn voters to booth because of stuff, things will not change. The last bit, the only light I see is the current generation. And
Right.
because they're entitled generation, they have got most of the things which they should have got. Now they've started to think around ESG in a very larger way. And if they start to work on it, that is the only light I can see. Otherwise, whatever I spoke about are the bottlenecks.
Well, I think you are absolutely right. And, we've got various currencies. We've got Bitcoin, gold standards, and we've got, stock market, yen. All countries have got the currencies. We have got 2 more new important currencies, like you said. One is voters. The other one is, money, the real money or whatever you want to call it. The other currency that we are missing out is the trees, is the plantation, is the growth, is the real thing, is the air that we breathe, is the life that we live, is the water in which we need, is the waste that we are generating. I think that's another important currency, and that is the, whatever you want to call it, that is the currency of the climate. And I think the moment we monetize that, the moment we see it in the right direction, things will start coming out. Thank you so much, Braj.
Abhijit, just one
I-
thing on what you said on a political and corporate thing on trees. I would, some 15, 20 years back, I would not name the party. I would not, that's why I took the timeline of 15, 20 years back. Environment minister had funds running into few thousand crores. Okay. And this person said that we have planted trees in Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand. Okay. Now, if you get out of 3 different cities in Jharkhand, which is Ranchi, Bokaro, and Jamshedpur, Bokaro includes, say, 4 cities, maybe Dhanbad, rest all is forest. So, where did this guy plant those trees?
No, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. This whole plantation
Yeah,
business
I'm
is a
done.
different thing. We should have a separate session on that, and I can talk about every state that we've been connected, starting from Maharashtra. But I think we will park that conversation. But you're right, it's not about planting. It is about maintaining. It is about committing. It is about, like you have a Jan Andolan for Ram Mandir. I wish you had for every small tree and every small plant, and you should know where which plant to grow. I think which country, which city, where which plant will survive and not survive. I think, thank you so much on that, Brij. I want to go to Rajnikant. He happens to be doing a lot of good work in the in Maharashtra, in Kashmir on the skill side, and he's been impacting a lot of these businesses who require a very large volume of people, whether it is Mahindras, or whether it is retail setups, or whether it is manufacturing companies, or it is factories. I want to hear his views. So Rajnikant, आपका क्या view है on the environment and climate change? Over to you.
Yeah, very good evening, Abhijit and all of you. Yeah, so I'm Rajnikant and I am the founder of RozgarPool.com. It's a entry level and blue collars job portal similar to like Naukri, Monsters, Times. But right now we have registered around 37 lakh job seekers as well as 14,000 plus employers using our portals. So for the just I would like to say like this is our view. There are huge requirements coming. Recently, we have inaugurated the international Navi Mumbai International Airports. So due to this, there are huge requirements coming in worldwide. If you will see, so technology, there are requirement of technology. There are requirement of manpower. There are requirement of you can say machinery. So
Right.
yeah, so in India, if you will see, due to after the COVID, there are lots of requirement of healthcare worker. If we talk about logistic in the industry is booming, then e-commerce industry is booming.
No,
Then infra is
yeah,
booming.
Rajnikant, I get your point. I think the focus here is that how the ESG space, where we are looking at new technologies, new, for example, circular business, for example, looking at the larger retail setups, how are they changing to adapt to to climate change and to ESG? I think that is the focus here, and yeah, there is a lot of work happening in that direction as well. So, if you want to add a point, or we move to the. So you want to add a point there, Rajni?
No, thanks.
So from that, thank you, Rajni. It was good hearing your view. So over to, I would like to go to Deepti Vilas, sir. And I want to know, sir, what is your view? You being in the bureaucracy for a long time, you've headed, Delhi, and you've seen a lot of development in the Delhi Development Authority, and you've set up a plan, which is current Delhi running on. So what is your view, sir? How do you take this? And how do you think we can make a change?
Well, first of all, good evening to all of you. I just wanted to add 3 or 4 points at this stage. Number one is that there is a tremendous pressure, stress on the environment, and we need to face it. If we don't face it, we will lose it. That message is becoming loud and clear as time passes. And although international community is getting together, is trying to put its heads together, is trying to make benchmarks for achievement, we still find that there's not much of interest or traction in this particular sector. I want to talk of only three things. One is urgency of understanding and facing the problem, understanding and facing the problem. Second is the historical wrong that has been done, but that it can be corrected in the same way in which it was generated. And third is compliance. The 3 points I think we can encapsulate regarding the issue of ESG and pollution and things like this. The urgency is very clear. In the last 100 years, the amount of imbalance that has been generated by way of consumption of Earth's resources has been imbalanced. And that is why many international agreements have taken place to correct it by saying that, people will contribute according to the damage they have done, and others will benefit, so as to bring everybody on. And though the polluter should always pay, this principle should be found good and easy to adopt. But in practice, we see that is not happening. And we can also see that the countries which are committed are doing well. They are able to find resources. They're able to move to new scale in this. And therefore, I think it's a time we all understanding the problem is as a large proportional problem, solution to the problem itself. Therefore, the more people are aware of the consequences, the more they feel convinced, the more there is conviction that they should help the planet to recover, the better it will be for us. Now, as far as Nishant is concerned, work on the on the Delhi monuments, etc. So I was also involved in one Aga Khan Trust work. They did Humayun's tomb, and we could see how meticulously they performed also. I think your breed of architects has done a very good job in understanding the issues and using only natural products and natural sort of resources to regenerate instead of putting plastics and unnecessary filters and things like that. So I think it's a good idea that we should get into the space of regenerating our entire urban sort of housing and other buildings using the traditional methods. But I think 99% of the architects will not see eye to this sort of a proposition. So it is very much necessary that professionals also imbibe an element of, or a culture of using only recyclable material. Although there may be some sacrifice made, but I think this is what should be propagated from their side as professionals. What the government can do, governments can do rather, I would say internationally, is set up fiscal incentives and disincentives. The moment incentives and disincentives are built in by way of either taxation or incentive, taxation for using bad technology and incentive for using good and relevant technology, recyclable technology. So I think this is something which may work, but no government has really tried it because the problem is still seen to be very small, easy to handle and things like that. But I think the pace at which we are growing, the pace at which natural disasters are increasing, you can see every week something big is happening. People are dying somewhere, they're getting drowned somewhere, they're getting burnt out somewhere, volcanoes are blowing up North Pole. These things are happening, and the pace of the in such incidents, which are geographical incidents, will definitely increase. That's what we can see. So therefore, there is a tremendous need of urgency for people to come together and act. And whether the historical wrongs are corrected right now or later, we must adopt the new techniques, the new innovative techniques by which we can save our planet. Right. And of course, the third point I wanted to talk about is compliance. We have seen in many of the issues that we have debated on this very forum and elsewhere also, when there are laws, there are incentives, there are disincentives. However, as Ajay Singh ji said, that is like all the threshers and all machines which are lying in nowhere except on paper. So compliance is the key. If governments do their business, I think 99% of the work can be achieved. They should be sincere to the task. They should be able to talk sincerely. They should be able to assess the damage that is likely to be caused. And of course, the historical wrong which has been done, there has to be a debate, and there must be some method of correcting that also. At this point, I'll stop, and then we can get back later with fresh insights available. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think it's a very valuable insight, and I clearly like the compliance bit of it. And I think this whole notion of rewarding people or corporates or districts or villages which are doing well, and also kind of taxing people who are not doing well, because it is a zero-sum game. And at one place we can create a carbon sink, in other place we can really create a lot of carbon footprints. It depends upon which way we take and where we go. And people who are creating carbon sink, they should be monetized well. They should be taken care of, because they are letting the environment be as it is. So I think a very valid point. I'll go immediately over to Aman, and I would like to know from you, Aman, as to how do you see the landscape changing and what we should do today. And like as sir said, there is an urgency. What do you feel should be the next steps?
Thanks, Abhijit. I've been hearing everyone, and I'll first agree with what sir said, that there has to be a system of incentives and penalties. I won't say disincentive, I'll write down say penalties. And I'll take a cue first from what Maya said. Tech has to be the bridge. So the new buzzword of late has been the tech for good, tech for purpose. AI has a great role to play in this, as it can predict where we are going wrong. I'll link this to what Braj was saying, and I'll put it in the context of greenwashing. So all corporates, they have to comply. They have to put up a good face to the world to get more consumers, more clients. And what they do is they greenwash the entire story around how good they are and how committed they are to SDGs, where the projects don't exist. I think that's what he alluded to when he said about the tree plantation thing. So again, giving a thumbs up again to Maya, tech has solved that particular purpose. So in the next discussion, whenever we're having it, we can tell him how exactly blockchain and AI together, they've come together and given and brought about the tree chain API to actually tell him where the tree was planted, whether it really exists, and whether it was only on paper, and whether it was just a greenwashed PR ploy. The second thing what I want to put on record is that I'll again take a cue from Braj and sir, this is what I was hoping to say, that unless we incentivize and speak in the language of corporates, we can't see real tangible action on ground. And by that I mean, Abhishek would butt in Jan Niti's project of 2023, where you had a team on ground asking persons direct questions whether they believed in what their preferred brand said on TV and in advertising. And if they felt that their brand should do much more. And we came out with the analysis that 66% of youth, so everyone here agrees that youth has the major role to play in the days to come. So youth would actually go so far as to say that I would stop drinking Pepsi and switch over to Coke if Pepsi does not put on record what they have done for my climate, my air, my trees, my greenery, my children. So this is the currency that they understand. And sir can throw light on what the EPR policy has been, extended producer responsibility. So for example, again, the smallest example that we give, that a child has a pack of chips, he eats the chips and disposes of the bag, and that packet has to be disposed of right to the landfill. These owners has now come back to the manufacturer. So that, let's say, for argument's sake, Lay's, for example, or Uncle Chips. Now, this is exactly what's going to work. This is exactly the ESG drive. Tangible action on ground is what's going to be the currency of the future, with youth and the consumers being the vehicle. So consumers and lack of sales, loss in revenue, this is the talk that the corporates have to listen. Hence, they will comply. All others, regulations, compliances, awareness, advocacy have a role to play, a very large role to play. But they cannot be directly linked in the short term to real action. Real action is where it lies, and tech can be the bridge here. Tech can give them the platform, tech can give them the analysis, tech can give them the leeway, the platform to actually put on record whether, for example, whether a company X has ABC amount of CSR funds which they want to put on ESG campaigns. So the tech can be the bridge, whether what was the campaign, whether it was really done, who are the stakeholders, what have they done, what was the analytics, has the money been appropriated directly or has it been siphoned off? And this is the start. And AI, for example, can tell you which projects have the feasibility, which can have the predictive thing, and it can stop hallucinating. So AI, by virtue of being dependent on data sets, in the initial days, and you have to train the language processors and you have to keep out your data sets. The hallucination part is a thing that it's being refined as we speak on daily basis. I would agree. Every day it's evolving. Every day there's something new happening. So tech, I believe, is a bridge. As a community, when we discuss on such forums, we should come out with what is the real action. That's my suggestion. For example, Sir said that there should be compliance. I'll say, beyond awareness, why isn't there some certification, for example? And like auditors are there for ESG, we need to put in place what are the things that they're going to audit, what are the campaigns that they're going to do it, what are the things that we should ask from the corporates or from the governance, that these are the things that you need to put on record, which will be read and assessed by the consumers or the stakeholders, and then there has to be some action on the ground. So I feel every one of us here are well established. We must be speaking at many forums. The action part is something that we should really talk about. And tech, without tech, you can't go further. This is the age of tech. And if we just transition from tech for the namesake, innovation at the surface, to tech for good, innovation with a purpose, innovation linked directly to impact, I think we have a good bright future ahead. That's from my side.
Right, Aman, very well said. And I like the idea of those innovation with the purpose. And I think it's a brilliant thought, and we should hold to that and work on it on the ground. I think those two things are the real things, because there are conversations and there are dialogues and there are a lot of narratives being built out, and a lot of elections are being fought, and a lot of policies, conversations are happening, and I don't want to go into details. It is more of parties going on than the real work happening out there. But I would come to Maya once again before I go to Abhishek. I just want to get, Maya, your views, and how does you see this whole clean tech technology from a policy framework perspective impacting, or AI tech impacting the climate for larger good? What is your thing? What do you feel? How do you feel? One is measurement, and what else you have in mind as to that can be more relevant for us?
Definitely. So I would say that, first of all, India is clearly setting, I would say, the international narrative when it comes to deploying AI for good. I would say that Europe clearly set, I would say, the semantics, the broad discussions of ESG, but I would say, this year specifically, India is chairing the Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence, which kind of brought me to the country. And we're already seeing, I would say, pretty pioneering climate tech solutions kind of deployed and fulfilling ESG. So clearly we are seeing this kind of intersection between the pretty rigorous discussions on ESG measurement, some of the more, I would say, existing solutions that already kind of pioneered in Europe. But when it comes to the delivery and implementation on the ground, I would say that the South Asian markets, and specifically India, is setting the example. So there are some voids, I would say, when it comes to actually dealing with the AI loopholes. Some of the things that, of course, some of the esteemed speakers have mentioned. AI is not flawless, but the discipline of AI for good, AI for purpose, as Aman has wisely said, it's definitely setting the tone for what we would see to be the right intersection between real-time ESG measurement, which requires, of course, understanding of how do we set ESG goals. And I would say even broader than this, what is ESG? The fact that ESG has started to be such an emerging term, it doesn't mean that we haven't discussed government ethics and compliance before. But this compilation of all these aspects together definitely bring us to a very interesting time point with the, I would say, development of ChatGPT and generative AI, So having this real-time assessment of goals based on previous data sets, in the same time understanding the cultural deficiencies, and trying to, I would say, foster more public-private partnerships. This is the point of GPay. I would say that clearly in India we are seeing this quite a lot in various climate tech solutions, not just in clean tech, but clean tech is definitely a great example. But specifically as ESG, I would say came from perhaps a more research academic discipline initially. We saw this much more discussed in the regulatory landscape and gradually shifting into the private sector. I definitely see a great potential for the increase of private-public partnerships when it comes to ESG measurement. There are solutions today, but I think that the more interesting discussion will be the regulatory comparison. For instance, the UK, there is actually, I would say, almost a pretty solid approach towards the regulation of ESG in climate space. So there are pretty concrete ESG targets that certain companies are supposed to launch. We've also seen this in especially I would say in recruitment. So I used to work in divest in inclusion in the recruitment space in the UK, and there we actually have some declarative measures that we are requiring from companies to fulfill ESG. And also in climate, it's something that is about to enter Europe. I think that with India, of course, it will be very interesting to see how to bridge I would say the great advancement of certain solutions of again ESG reporting, and seeing how regulation can be an additional booster or an agent that will make sure to reinforce this ESG reporting. So I think that India, compared to Europe, has definitely been leading much more, I would say, on the delivery of solution rather than reinforcement of policies. But generally, I think that the international community is definitely in a very pivotal time of trying to see how to balance ESG reporting between the delivery of solutions using technologies and the assistance of regulatory measures. And I think that these are definitely important points to discuss on how do we see this balance in the South Asian markets, and also understand a bit more the role of the partnership between the public sector and the private companies to how we can actually channel data-driven approaches in climate solutions to make sure that we are understanding what ESG is in different local contexts. So that's my take based on of course, the other speakers and some of my perspectives.
Right. Thank you, Maya. I think it's very enlightening, and I really like what you just explained. Innovation with purpose along with compliance, and I think very important what you mentioned was that you should be able to measure it and fine-tune it so that the more things which are not measured, they are not done, they are not executed. So I feel that's a very valid point. Over to Abhishek. I want to kind of get to Abhishek with a very specific sort of thing in my mind, right? These large, big, countries like sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes,
yeah, Abhishek, what I'm trying to say is that if you look at the money that US spends on just buying tissue paper as a country, that is the budget of the entire military of Pakistan, right? So what I'm trying to say is that there is, you are putting carbon dioxide and all sorts of gas from that's the geopolitical side of it as well, and that is being there's somebody creating the mess and there's somebody paying for it, right? So if there is people who are paying for it, like I wanted to say in Paris Agreement, according to the Paris climate change agreement, $100 billion was supposed to be put back in the developing nations every year annually, which is not happened since 2015. They started out. It has not happened as yet till today. And the way you are looking at it, this should be roughly around $4 to $10 trillion. So I'm saying that this kind of different types of people in US, in India, facing different kinds of lives, this inequality, and you've been on the ground, you've been in India, you've been seeing things very live. What is your view as to, are we really paying the cost for somebody else's thing that has been created? And how do you see this whole thing? And how do we navigate this? I don't want to bring a blame game here, but I want to bring a real change here. It really helps the people and more manageable sort of thing. What is your view?
Thank you, Abhijit ji. Thanks for giving me time. Actually, in blunt term, if I can say that I have only one answer, that is, we all are responsible. These days, if we talk about CSR or ESG or EPR or anything else, all these responsibilities are just a kind of a money-making tool for others. This is fact. So we create one system, and a few smart people create some cheat code to and find some loophole to how to exploit those loopholes and create and make money for us. So we all are responsible. 2 years back, I met one computer science professor from IIT Kanpur. His name was Mr. Maninder or Mohinder Agrawal, I think. So he told me that he is working on cloud seeding project, but due to lack of funding and financial support, we are stuck. So again, I told him that you have to go and meet with Delhi CM, because he is IITian and Delhi is facing this smog problem. So he told that he already approached few years back. He told already approached few years back. So I asked what were the reason for not any kind of support from their side. So he told that he's looking any such type of solution from where they can make a good amount of money. So that was his answer. And if we talk about ESG, so data play a crucial role in driving all impact of environmental, social, and government initiative. And if we have wrong data, then there will be always a wrong reporting. So data should be credible, provide the necessary insight, evidence, and all kind of metrics which are informed for decision making. So these are some fundamental issues, and we all know that data is sometimes data is superlative degree of lie. So everyone is playing with the data. We all are talking about AI, but we also know that the biggest amount of misinformation, disinformation, and fake news source and fake information source is AI. So everything is unreliable actually, and we all are actually blaming to other, but the fact is we all are responsible. So this is my activist language. But basically, I am part of Global Alliance for Sustainability as well. So it is a collective initiative of over 18 companies which have joined hand unofficially to promote various type of sustainability related solution for corporates and companies worldwide, not only in India. So on behalf of this alliance, we are dedicated to support and promote UN SDG goals for focusing on our secure, clean, and green future. Our mission is to drive a global movement towards a sustainability practice across various industries. And with over 18 companies, we are trying to add a few more in this alliance. So these companies are committed to integrating sustainability practice into their business model, as well as we are providing such type of solution to others as well. Alliance is actively promoting innovative solution for air, water, solar energy, and wind energy, and other solutions we have for eco-friendly, like eco-friendly plastic, and for sewage treatment plants, and many others. So from air to water and water to soil, we have all kind of solution. And we are also trying to find out that how we can make our corporate practice more eco-friendly, as well as our government practice more eco-friendly. So we are also on awareness side, awareness making side. So these are all initiatives which are trying to do on all spaces. And there are multiple more things which we can discuss. Last time when we invited one of our AAP representative, so she spoke a lot about AAP, what AAP did in terms of cleaning air, Delhi air quality. But the situation are more or less same today. So politics is just a politics, because I am also a political technologist and part of IAPC. So I know many things. So if we want a safe, secure, and green future for us and for our children, then we have to take responsibility, and we have to act in a proactive manner. This is a demand of our time. This is demand of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek. It was very enlightening, and we have to be responsible for ourselves is the line that should really ring the bell here. Abhishek is a political consultant with a lot of experience in working with a lot of states and really going down the ground, as well as working with the data sets. Along with Braj. Braj also has a lot of experience in the political consulting space. So we have a good sort of a mix here. I want to go to Harmeet, and he brings in a lot of understanding about the ESG in the edtech space, and also he's been involved in creating awareness around it. So Harmeet, over to you. One line on yourself, and then we can straight away get your views.
Sure. Thank you, Abhijit. And I've been listening to such enlightening discussion here, and a lot of good ideas have come through the technology part, and all of them are so beautiful. So I am a co-founder of India Blockchain Alliance, and I've been working on education space for a long time now. So what I understand, oh shit.
Some emergency would have struck with Harmeet, so we'll come back to him later. But I want to kind of go back to Sir, and I want to know from Deepti Vilas, sir, more from a government perspective, sir. Are we doing enough as a government, and are we doing it right? There is such a long way to go. I mean, really long way to go. And what have we done is minuscule. What is your view on that?
Well, I'm happy that this question has been asked, and it should be asked. Because if there is any dependence on compliance, then that can be ensured by the government. It has got many limitations, at least in our country. Definitely, I can say things which are resource-starved, mostly underdeveloped and developing countries. They have this. The problem is that we also it's government, and in inspections of drug inspectors and other things. We all know government's budgets are very limited. That only 3 digits are given on audits and checking enforcement is very low. And the percentages of involvement of the government auditors is very limited. It will be hardly within 2 to 3% or 5% as best of the total number of transactions or activities taken place. So in the government, they have a system called test audit. So only in case test audit reveals some sort of a difficulty or problem, then they go for a bigger this thing. So the limitations of the government are resource-based mostly. They don't have money in the budget, and many people don't see it as a worthwhile activity to do because it is seen as an impediment to progress. You must have seen that people always say that, okay, these guys are going after this project and this project is going to get halted and put in cold storage. So people generally try to avoid that type of situation in the government. Number one, they don't have will. Number two, they don't have budget. Number three, of course, the sort of integrity that should be needed to do the job correctly is also seeming to be lacking. So I think there are, yes, there are a lot. But in case the government wants to go after anybody, yes, there is no limit to it. You can get after one issue or one man, and you can just bite him down to dust. So that is possible. But then even-handed approach to compliance and non-compliance is needed, and I think that is severely lacking. We can find ample examples to show this. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. I think it's a very valid point about the government.
Can I please,
one last thing to go to Nishant. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Somebody raised an issue about the garbage and the garbage dumps. Okay. Now, let me tell you just one thing about garbage dumps. They all release something called dioxin. There are 3 kinds of dioxins. 2 are okay. 1 is severely carcinogenic. It is a known carcinogenic. In many countries, nobody takes the dioxin count, neither do we. And those incinerator projects that we have actually get to release more dioxins because those temperatures at which they are burning actually increases the rate. And so this cancer-causing element, dioxin, the carcinogenic type, is spreading in the air. Okay? Nobody takes account of that. And where the policies, unfortunately, are made such, these vehicles should be scrapped, that should be scrapped. The policies mostly are made such that the poor little very rich group of industry gets to earn a little more money by scrapping certain vehicles. Isko ye kar do, usko wo kar do. Oh, dioxin is coming all the way to your house from the dump. It's going nowhere. And in very small quantities, it is cancer causing. So to this August group, I did want to sensitize this issue. And there are technologies
very relevant issue,
particularly with the hydrogen making people. If you go to them, they'll tell
there has been
that's it.
Right. So there has been a tender floated by the government of India to create hydrogen. Yeah. There has been a tender floated by the government of India to create hydrogen, and it has been very well accepted between Adani and Ambani. It's gone to Ambani's mostly. But I think, and if you look at the correlation, there was a study by ICMR and another organization. There is a huge correlation between cancer and air pollution. Huge.
The third dioxin.
This cannot be, and what you're saying is absolutely relevant, and this cannot be taken lightly. I think I want to put it in record, and Abhishek and Amanji and Dipti Vilas sir, we want to take it to the government. I feel this is an extremely important and a relevant thing that should be raised and that should be discussed and that should be a policy around it. So over to Nishant. I wanted to go, Nishant. There are so many recycle waste being created all around the cities and villages and everywhere else. How do you feel these cities can be made a little more sustainable, a little more better? And what is your view on that?
Yeah, I think actually it has been very nice listening to everyone. And I agree about the whole idea of compliance, subsidies, incentives, and even in our practice and understanding and policy making and everything. This is a big part of it, whether we are here or whether we are practicing in Belgium. So I think we have seen a very similar phenomena in that case. Only I think the implementation of the policies sometimes are more severe in Europe, particularly, than in our context in India right now. So because we practice cross a continent, we often sit and compare this. Also, sometimes we compare our AQI, which is like right now there it's 25 and here it's 285. So we also do that. So just to put a context to our inter exchange of culture and cross country. What it also makes us understand is that, as you asked, that how this recycling can come and how the cities can do better in that aspect is that a big issue about things is Malba. So construction waste is a huge waste, not in terms of only like adding to the whole AQI thing, also in adding to generally like making, really brown fields and dumping yards and sites and the visions you always see when you start entering a city. You start seeing this ugliness about a city, which is basically this this construction dump yard, which you start seeing starting from a city. So I think it's very important that we start working on these fringes, which are this delicate balance between rural and urban. And I do understand that we all quote and we all say that in coming few years, the most of the population will be urbanized and living in urban areas, and we should have a larger focus on urban areas. But I think rural is more than often has the answer to things. So interestingly, that how we want to go to urbanized scenario, but it's our rural landscapes and understanding where I think the root idea of coexistence, the theory of commons, and all those things start coming into practice. And that also comes with a very interesting angle of tacit knowledge and systems. So as much as in our understanding, also we have used tech to justify a lot of things and have impact assessment simulations. For example, we are able to showcase that if you will build this horrible stadium in Orcha, what it will do to Orcha. So we simulate the whole thing, then people look at it and they agree, okay, yes, the poor city will be destroyed with this horrible big stadium which they have, and then they stop the plan, much to the grudges of local people. And sometimes but nevertheless, I think more than often what we understand is tech misses out on this tacit turn, which I think can be much better brought out by local non-governmental organizations. So when we start working together with these local agencies or people who are on field, and then we start combining. So we have to have a balance between a kind of a humanoid-based tech systems or something which can lead to this kind of further a better program and a better kind of a system of management, not only for Malba, but also for landscaping. And I'll just share a small nuanced example. And I think which you also, we talked about plantation right now. And in our landscape projects, what we do now, even around heritage building, we propose local grasses so people don't have to water it. But our system is so rigid about awarding the best lawn of the year that everybody wants a lawn. Now, I mean, you cannot have a lawn in dry areas, but we still maintain a lawn around our archaeological sites because we think that's how it is. So it's a lawn, that's period. So there is So even when we propose natural grasses, which can just go without even having any problem with the water systems, they are better at resilience. Their color scheme is better with the landscape. Everything merges more beautifully, and they are very meticulously designed as well. Even then, that is not executed, whether it's the grass or whether it's the plantation or trees as well. So I do agree about the understanding of it. And we recently and I think this will go on record. So nevertheless, we recently lost a kind of a battle with an agency to do a plantation, authentic, climate friendly plantation scheme in a historical garden, because they kept insisting that they want more beautiful flowering plants, and the tourist wants to see grass and everything. And we lost it because they are the stakeholders. We are not going to go to water that plant. So the management aspect of landscapes is very significant. So if we don't train the community, if we don't bring awareness within the community that, guys, you have to manage this part, it does not go beyond. And lastly, I would just like to touch upon it. I think there is a great opportunity within the insurance sector as well for micro housing and adaptive reuse. Nobody is exploring it because there is a clear risk attached to climate change, and also in terms of building, in terms of disasters, it's increasing as well. So I think it will be interesting if insurance companies and insurance agencies start focusing on this interesting aspect as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nishant. Very well said. And being an architect, your vision is extremely, amplified and well heard, because if you talk to an architect, they will say, build more buildings. And when you say we have hit the wall, we can't build more buildings, right? We want to look at how we can reuse. And so I think it's very well said. And I like your thought on awareness. Harmeet is back here. Harmeet, would you be able to have a quick thing on
Yes.
the awareness? Yeah, please go.
Definitely. Sorry for getting disconnected. As I said, I was just introducing myself. I'm working for the education sector for a long time, and we have created a lot of awareness sessions, and a lot of things are happening on this part. So what I understand, though we have such beautiful and intelligent solutions for these problems, but until and unless we make people aware at the grassroots level, be it students, be it communities, be it corporates, everyone needs awareness. So that drive has to be very strong to put this in action. So then we do not, once people are aware, students are aware, the corporates are aware about these problems and the global warming stuff and climate change, I think the pressure will be automatically on the government side. So they will have to perform, and also, as Amanji said, about different manufacturers who've been into the industry, and they're not taking the responsibilities as of now. So this awareness will create that impact. So this is what I understand. And initially, on my part itself, I've been doing for the cloth disposal, we've been working on 1 or 2 big projects. So we've already proposed to the government, and so we will give them some sort of incentives for rightly disposing of the clothes, the material and the waste material which is generated by the fashion industry, the clothing industry. So step by step we're working on it. But according to me, the awareness is the important key factor to the problem. So this is what I wanted to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Harmeet. I think very well said. And I'm just wondering if anyone has any points to quickly share, another minute or so, 2 minutes or so that we can then have a final closure on the discussion today. Right. So I think today is a special day in India, and I want to kind of bring this discussion to a closure. And today Ram Mandir is been Lord Ram has been has come in the temple, and the whole country is feeling good and joyous about it. Ram stands for 3 things, and I'll tell you, one of them is clearly environment. Ram stayed in for 14 years in forest. So वो जंगल में 14 साल रहे हैं, तो उनको एक so his connection with environment is very different than the other lots that we have in our things. Second thing is he's been an extremely social person. He's been extremely compassionate person, and he's been a person who's been able to uplift a large volume of people with his bravery and his work that he's done. Lastly, but not the least, is that he's been the person who has shown good governance to the country. I feel Lord Ram has entered the temple, but the Ram Raj is still to come. The Ram Raj is still to strike, and that starts with Mother Earth. And the daughter of Mother Earth happens to be the wife of Lord Rama. So that is Sita. So I feel that he is a very young boy right now. He's just born. He's just started off his journey. And we will have Sita being established very soon. And we will have India leading the climate change. We will have each one of us in this country and the people in the larger world and people who are connected to us leading the climate change. Because I feel there is, if we survive, then only everything else will make sense to us. And I think any company, any individual, if they don't know why they should do climate change or why they should be connected with ESG, they have missed the plot. They are not living enough. They are not doing enough. They're not doing it right. And I think any corporate, any business, if they don't know why they should be spending on ESG, if they don't know why ESG should be the first goal that they should be driving, then they are missing the plot. And I feel from all the angles, from politics, from governance, from technology, from the bureaucracy, from the conservative architecture standpoint, I think from all the corners of the world, what we need today is a shout for climate change, and not only shout, a very actionable plan of action. And Janneeti is driven to do that. We are here to make a change. Aman, Abhishek, all of us are here. We are a team here, and Maya, and all of us are here. We are a team, and we want to take this forward. I just want to end this conversation with two small lines in Hindi, small poetry. लहरों से डरकर नौका पार नहीं होती. I mean, और कोशिश करने वालों की हार नहीं होती. In English, it means a boat will never sail if it is scared of the waves, and and people who try will never fail. So I think that is the context. So we are here to make a difference. Thank you, everyone. It was lovely having you. Thanks again. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhijit.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Abhijit.
Thank you, Ji.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you all.
It was a pleasure.
Have a nice day. Bye.